So Heros is a service user ran charity based in Croydon, and we support people that are in need in various different ways. So one of the things we do is campaigning for individuals' rights so that they can access services equal to anybody else. Another big part of what we do is welfare surgery support, which pertains to welfare benefits and again, entitlements they may not be aware of. And we also do an anti-stigma campaign where we go into organisation, frontline services particularly, and break down the stigma around mental health and make it more accessible to talk about their own mental health and well-being and that of their clients that they support, and better equip them to deal with us when we're in crisis or in need. And lastly, we do link working, which is peer support, and all of our services are made up and provided by service users. And we go into organisations before COVID and share on need-to-know basis our lived experiences to enable people to open up and really engage with us, sometimes to a point that they wouldn't with their clinicians. And we can then feed that information back. Sometimes staff are unawares of what's really going on for a person outside of their clinical need, and we feed that back to the staff relevant, and then we discuss it at a monthly meeting at a senior level so that we can make changes, the trust can make changes in collaboration with ourselves to improve access and service delivery across the trust really. It's only in Croydon, so it's only Croydon SLAM services, but we both go into wards and community mental health teams. At the moment, because of COVID, we're restricted to doing this sort of virtual. It was hard to get off the ground to start with, but I think now the ball's been rolling for over a year. Both staff and patients in that instance are feeling more able to disclose, even though it's not physically in the room, which we did find a challenge to start with. It's finding the time from staff and also service users trusting talking to somebody on a virtual platform. But during that last year, we've been able to feed back quite vital information to the relevant wards of the patients. And a really good example of how this works is a patient was very distressed on the ward and had spoke about all of his mental health with his clinical leads, his clinical allocated nurse, doctor on ward rounds, but hadn't told anybody that he had a bereavement in his family and felt very guilty for that bereavement. And when we fed that back to that ward, it gave them an understanding of other dynamics that's going on for that individual. So I think it really is peer support in its full essence, really. So not only ourselves, we're experts by experience, we've been on the receiving end of those services, but we're also very mindful that it's to improve services for people that are experiencing it now. And as I said, sharing that information does give an opportunity to nurses and such to understand different parts of what that person's journey looks like. And sometimes, it may be sort of complaints that things aren't working so well. Sometimes it's compliments about how things are working very well, and we're able to address the complaints and replicate the compliments. So we could say to a particular ward, well, this ward's got around it like this, and we can share that with other wards. And and it's very progressive. We hope to return back to the wards in person, but until such time, we just continue with how we're delivering it at the minute. And I think for me, I started with the organisation in 2012 whilst being a service user myself, and I felt for the first time from my experience that I was actually heard. I had a voice, which as I said, I felt I'd lost. And for me to get involved and contribute to service delivery with SLAM, let alone with my own charity, was a really vital part of my journey. So I always sort of say to staff, where people are due for discharge or they're coming out of services or they're community-based services, really get them to try and engage with something like us because it's meaningful, it has purpose, and it's very rewarding. So the idea is to reduce the amount of people that then rely on those services later on. We also do some signposting, so we're aware of what services are available in the borough. Someone might be interested in gardening, and we can refer them and signpost them to Mind's allotment scheme. They may want to exercise, and they've got different exercise activities, yoga, mindfulness. and just general stuff what's going on in the borough. And again, that has changed slightly because of COVID, but it is still out there. So it's about knowing those services and where they are and how to access them, and where SLAM staff can sometimes move on. It's about letting all SLAM staff know within Croydon what's available, because they've got a lot to do with their own day job anyway, so to know that information as well, they don't have to so much because they've got the likes of projects like ourselves in mind. And I think also what's important is the benefit the staff gain out of our contribution, and we feel very, very valued by the staff team, and we have something that they don't always have, which is time. So we can spend that 20 minutes, 30 minutes with service user or a patient and really get to understand their journey and their story. As I said, with permission, we feed that back and share that. And it's just another way, it's another part of the puzzle of what that patient is. So it's another piece of them that they don't feel comfortable sometimes to disclose, and they focus on the clinical side of their needs, and we can sort of just give the other side of it as well. So in turn the staff benefit from that because they get to know their patient, they can tailor what support that they can focus on for that person, particularly on discharge, and as I said, we have the luxury of what they don't have sometimes, which is time. So it's a win for our service users and it's a win for our SLAM staff.